Thanks very much. And by the way, that's from the new book, Such a Life, which they market as a memoir, but it's actually a series of distinct essays that happens to have a chronology. I'd be glad to take questions if you have them, comments, chit-chat, cookies, whatever. Fine.
Whatever happened to that?
Sorry?
Whatever happened to that?
We're engaged in a great game of Words with Friends on Facebook right now.
Thank God. Who's winning?
Well, right now I'm winning, I think. I win some, she wins some.
Thank God we all had death in our life on life.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to read this today, because I think it might have a little universal appeal no matter the age of the audience member. Any other questions or comments? I got really curious.
There were almost 3 stories there, all combined.
Yeah.
And how did you come to the conclusion that you encompassed all 3 instead of breaking them all?
Well, this started just with my curiosity about first kisses. I was a real pest for a good while when I was starting to think about this essay, because at every social gathering I would be asking people to tell me the story of their first kiss. And I got to tell you that research shows that church or church camp appears frequently in first kiss stories. Now, I don't know what that says. Okay. But anyway, I just got curious, and so I thought about my first kiss. And, it just so happened that the first kiss took place at a real time of transition for me. Not only just the emotional transition, but also the geographical transition from upstate to downstate. And so as I started writing it, I remember crafting the opening scene and just trying to capture what that first kiss was like. And then because it took place in Yankee Woods, it was just a natural invitation to me to go into the darker side of Yankee Woods and men like Richard Speck. And then that, you see how it all just starts to suggest what comes after that, because that then suggested the memory of my father in that Playboy magazine. And at that point, I had everything up in the air and was trying to find a way to get them to cohere. And it was the memory of the peeping Tom that became the last piece of the puzzle. Because without that, I'm not sure that everything starts to come together. I'm not sure without the memory of the peeping Tom that I have the empathy for my parents that I have at the end of the essay. So it's just a matter of, in my mind, most essays operate from the method of free association. Something suggests something else, and you're sort of, part of the pleasure of reading or writing an essay is watching the writer's mind at work as he or she moves from this to this to this, and then it's like a tight wire act. We want to see whether they can get all the way across the high wire without falling. And so that's what I try to do. I try to get somewhere at the end, as you say, where everything coheres and I'm safe on the other side. Reedy, do you have a question?
It's very similar. It was a question about process and what the first draft was like. Yeah. I think you kind of answered.
I got it. I did it. Anybody else have a question or comment? Reedy hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a follow-up.
Okay.
What I'm always struck with when I read your nonfiction is this resonance at the end. And I know you kind of explained it as kind of an accidental thing, but I'm wondering if you can talk about how you know when you've landed there, or what that place is, because I think it's something you do so well.
I don't know if I'm going to have a useful answer for you, because so much of it is instinctual for me. But I know that when I get to the end of an essay, I want the feeling that everything that I've set in motion has been fully looked at. That there's nothing else to really look at here. And then I'm trying to find that final move that contains everything that came before. And then I start paying, in subsequent drafts, I start paying really close attention to syntax, rhythm, word choice. I'm trying to find that use of language that strikes a final note that resonates out as if a gong has been struck. And if I've done the job properly, at the end of the essay, the reader goes sweeping back through the essay, seeing how everything is sort of contained there. That's the best answer I have for you. Yeah, please.
I don't know if this is painful or not, but could you tell me a little about the process and what you were experiencing when you went through the Pulitzer Prize notification you were being considered, things like that?
The question is about the year that my novel, The Bright Forever, was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, and what that was like. Well, here's the straight answer. It was wonderful. It was a complete surprise to me. My editor had not told me that they had nominated the book. So it was nowhere on my radar thinking about this book, The Bright Forever, which is a story set in a fictional small town in southern Indiana in 1972 and involves the abduction of a young girl. I had no thought of that book swimming its way up through the thousands of books published that year, but somehow it did, and I'm really glad that it did. That was the year that Geraldine Brooks won the Pulitzer Prize for March, and then E.L. Doctorow was the other finalist for his novel, The March. So I jokingly say that if I had only titled my book A Bright March Forever, I would have won on word count alone. But no, I found out late in the day when I come back to my office from observing a graduate student's class, and there were lots of emails in my inbox, and the first one was from a former student that said, do you know that The Bright Forever is a finalist for the Pulitzer? And I was flabbergasted, and I was ignorant to the process. I was thinking it was like the National Book Awards process where 5 finalists are named, and then after a month or so, everybody goes to New York, big ceremony, winner announced. So I thought when I opened the first message, oh my God, I might have a chance to win the Pulitzer Prize. Then the second message said, I'd much rather be congratulating you on winning the Pulitzer Prize, but it's really great that you were a finalist. And then I thought, oh, okay, but still, that's really cool. So I was really pleased by it, and I'll tell you a quick funny story. The day after, my wife was in the grocery store, and she heard 2 men talking about the Pulitzer Prize winners, and she couldn't resist. She said, by the way, my husband's novel was a finalist in fiction. And one man said to her, not good enough to win, huh? And I was so pleased that it didn't bother me. That's fine. Because, this year the big controversy is that no prize was given in fiction. And because of that, there's been a lot of blogging, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've learned a little bit more about the process. It's a little more transparent now. There are actually 3 jurors, usually a writer and then a couple of book critics, who go through thousands of books. And they choose 3 books to send on to the 18-member Pulitzer Prize board. And the winning book has to have a 2/3 majority vote. Well, you can imagine if there are 18 people, sometimes it's possible that you don't get a 2/3 majority. This was the first time since 1977, I think they said, when no prize was awarded. Well, yeah, Byron.
Who would you have picked? David Foster Wallace?
Sorry?
Would you have picked David Foster Wallace yourself?
Don't ask me that question. I don't do that kind of stuff. I've not read that book. This was a big topic of conversation the other night when we were having dinner with Stuart Onan when he was in town. Lots of arguments going back and forth about who should have won, should anybody have won, et cetera, et cetera. I think if Wallace's book had won, it would have been sort of a Lifetime Achievement Award, because the book was a posthumous it was incomplete. Had to be completed by the editor. I really don't know. I haven't read it. I have no idea. And who are the other finalists? Dennis Johnson and Karen Russell for Swamplandia. Yeah. I mean, that's why we have horse races. It makes for good conversation later. Who knows? All right. Well, I'd be glad to chat afterwards if you'd like. Thanks so much for being here today.